I love looking at you and the way God intended us. I'm talking about nothing on but a smile and a little bit of sweat from when we made love. And it got me singing.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to Sexual Saturday. We are back again, episode 5. Today, our topic will be marriage versus common law. We're going to speak on this situation because it seems like it's a big issue. In most group topics, everybody has a problem with both. Some people has problem with marriage. Some people have problems with the common law. So we're going to kind of speak on that and give our opinions on how we feel about the both of them. And today I have on my panel my wonderful co-admin, Mr.
Chronic Black.
And then I have my wonderful co-host, Miss
Hope Walker.
And of course, you know who I am, Chevette Porter.
I throw up my hands, say thank you.
The thing was because we had to post in the group that was talking about what benefits the wife, what a common law wife gets or doesn't get, as opposed to what a legally married wife gets, as far as benefits for common law versus regular marriage. And it was basically pretty much saying that the common law wife doesn't get kind of whatever, but like for one thing, for instance, a beneficiary on something. Now I know for a fact, whoever you name as your beneficiary on anything, that's who your beneficiary is. Whether it's the common law wife, whether it's the wife, whether it's your neighbor up the street, no matter who it is, that's who you name, then that's who you name. If you have a legal will and you name your wife as the person that takes care of everything, or your common law wife, then she's going to have the same benefit as a regular housewife. So I don't know who came up with that the common law doesn't get anything, because a lot of states do honor common law. Well, some states don't, but some states still do honor common law marriage. You know, and they treat it like a regular marriage.
Mm-hmm. And also, it needs to be understood too that with common law marriages, if they have been together for quite some time, particularly in states that recognize common law marriages, it is very difficult sometimes for the parties to part ways without something that's similar to that of a divorce. That means the splitting of assets. That would also mean if there are children involved, visitation rights, everything is going to be similar to that, like it would be if there was an actual marriage or a dilution of the marriage. So basically, common law marriage, if it's recognized in certain states like an actual marriage would be, the similar results of a divorce are going to be the same. If the person, goes their own way or whatever, it's going to, the legal departure is the same way. You still got to go to court to, get out of it. Here in the state of Nebraska, they do not recognize common law. So even if a person was with somebody else for 20 years, you're not going to be entitled to anything because you're not legally married to them. And that's the way the state of Nebraska does it. It's very red state. In other words, it's very Republican. And they do everything pretty much by the book. They ain't married, they ain't entitled to spit. That can also go as far as inheritance when it comes time for children that are born out of wedlock. Sometimes they're not entitled to anything unless there was a last will and testament. Okay, unless they are, a beneficiary on an insurance policy. That's the only way a lot of times these individuals will be able to get anything, whether it's a common law wife or whether it's a child that's born out of wedlock. That's the way they do it here in Nebraska. So it's very important for people to understand what the states recognize and what they don't, if they intend to have long relationships that go past a certain amount of time. Because if it is not recognized, it doesn't matter. You're not entitled to it.
Right. Well, where I'm at, it is recognized, but it's not.
Mm-hmm.
And the reason why I say that is because that's a lot of reasons why the gays was really focused on being married, because it was not recognized for the common law marriages. It just depends. It definitely depends. It's between the two. As I read up, it just depends on, like I said, how long they actually been together.
Right.
It depends on that as well, you know. So, like I said, it's just for the years. But my problem with the common law marriage versus actual marriage is, to me, it's a combination.
Cause just to touch you is a blessing, and I'm glad I can. All I
People take, or should I say, I was doing this women's group a while back, a women's prayer group, and in that thing they was talking about relationships, and they were saying, you know, you shouldn't do this, you shouldn't do that until a man is proposed to you. You shouldn't act like his wife or anything, or do anything for a man out of until he has put himself in that position to want to be your husband. You shouldn't put yourself in that position. This is what the number one problem is. When you said people change once they get married, that's the reason why. Because every day somebody is telling them, you do not do this until he puts a ring on your finger. Then you make that help. Then you go and do woo, 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 woo. Well, I'm sorry. I believe in that. Let's see, how much? I believe in that about 10% of that. 10% of that, I believe half of that. Only because if he's not showing you that you're worthy, then I don't believe that you should do anything further. But if this is somebody that you want to spend the rest of your life with, and he wants to spend the rest of your life with as well, what is the problem with you being who you're supposed to be with him? You love him, you respect him, you treat him as your husband or your man. It doesn't matter which way it goes. That's who he is to you. When you get married, that to me is just taking on his name. You are becoming one. You're becoming a part of each other. You're becoming that one up under God. Period. You're recognized as one. From wherever, family, courts, doesn't matter. You're recognized as one. So that's the part that kills me.
say is a hallelujah, 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 pretty bird.
I know one thing. If I ever do go down that path and get married again, the one thing my wife is going to have to be is understand that there is another woman in my life, and her name is Mary Jane. And Mary Jane comes from Brazil.
You got me religious. Yeah. Got me religious.
It's about taking care of it.
And that's it. And making that child number one. And that's another problem that I have with most people and these kids. We forget about the kids.
For sure.
Stop looking at the other person. Now, don't get me wrong. Don't get me wrong. We had our relationship. We did what we did. We had these kids. Now this life has been about the kids. It's about the kids now. It's not about who is with who and what is what.
Got me religious. Ooh, and all I can say.
Whether people know it or not, you are hurting your child all day long. And with this child support situation, I have to speak on this because I have a few people that's dealing with this situation. It's irritating the hell out of me with this child support. People come up there, I got to get child support. So she don't want to do your thing, I'm gonna get child support. Okay, well, get child support. Do what you gotta do. But don't come around talking about, well, if he ain't doing this thing, then you want to make him not only pay child support, but you want him to keep your children. You want him to do this. You want him to pay for this. You want him to pay for that on top of child support. One and two. When you go to court, the judge is going to give you one or two. He's not going to give you 5. He's going to give you visitation, child support.
Right.
Visitation, child support. I'm sorry, 3. Custody. You get 3. You don't get 4 and 5. This child support is not for him to pay your damn bills. This child support is not for him to keep your rent. If you can't get up off your ass and go pay your own goddamn bills and pay your own rent, you's a sorry ass female. And this is a female coming from another female. You're sorry as hell if you think it's okay for you to get child support, to pay for your damn rent, or buy whatever the hell you know. That's not for you. That's for your child. Point blank in the period. Take care of your child. Now, if you say, well, me having a roof on my head and making sure the lights is on is taking care of my child, listen here. That's you taking care of your child. What he's doing is his part to take care of your child. Learn it.
It's a hallelujah, 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 pray to pray.
And you're making it hard for yourself. It's the reason why you pulling out your damn hair and you wearing 10 pounds of weave on your goddamn head. Because your ass is over here bullshit. Stop. Just stop. Stop with the shenanigans. For real. Learn some respect for yourself and your own children. Quit putting your children through that. Quit using your children as a fucking pawn. Your children is not a part of your chess game. Stop doing that.
You got me religious. Yeah. You got me religious.
I can't do it. It irritates the hell out of me. When people get to talking about child support, I cut them off. I don't even want to hear it. Because if you're talking to me about somebody that's not there, then I want to hear it. But if you're talking to me about somebody that's there, that picks up their kids every weekend, or they pick up their kids, they in the kids' life, they at every game, at every honor thing, they at everything, everything that they do, and you still mad because they ain't giving you child support, get the hell out of here. It was on one thing I seen on Love and Hip Hop. I hate to go to reality shows because, you know, half of that shit be on some bullshit. But there was one thing that I love about Scrappy, and I don't really particularly like Scrappy because I think sometimes he's a little, special. But there was one thing he said. I think he's a little special. But there was one thing that he said about Erica, and I loved it. He put Erica on that show so she can make money for her own damn daughter, and she still was mad. And wait a minute, hold on. Let me stop. First, she said he was a good father.
Mm-hmm.
Then she turned around and was like, well, he is there, woo, for his daughter, woo, this and that.
Right.
But then turned around and said, but he ain't paying me child support. He needs to make sure that white life is still the same. Bitch! He said, I put you on this show so you can make some money for you and my daughter, and I do what I need to do. He shut their ass right there.
I love being with you, 'cause you're easily worth adoring. Your voice in my ear, something like a choir of angels, easy like Sunday morning. You got me singing.